Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today I'm very pleased to announce that we're soon going to be introducing silver Stomarian stator bars. So, as many of our supporters will already know, Stomaria is a keen advocate for the accumulation and utilisation of gold and silver as a form of sound money to act as a medium of exchange within the empire. Because first and foremost, we are an empire of trade, we're an empire of commerce, and we're an empire of enterprise. And originally, we created the silver Stomarian stater coin in order to facilitate this trade network that we're building. And over time, we have gradually distributed these silver Stomarian stater coins across the empire through trade and through investment. Now, during the actual establishment of a monetary system that utilized silver in particular, we considered 4 different factors, each of which we considered to be very important, and each of which we needed to make sure we got right. So the first thing that we wanted to consider was the purity of the coin, the bar, the money. We needed to make sure that the purity was beyond doubt, was beyond question. And that means that we wouldn't be able to necessarily melt down the silver ourselves without having them also tested elsewhere to guarantee their purity, because sometimes you get contaminations, and if they aren't pure silver, if they aren't what we advertise, then that is a problem, because it shatters the credibility of the money. And that is not something we can tolerate. So the purity of the coin, the purity of the bar, the purity of the money is a very important factor. The second factor, which plays into that, is the weight. If the coin, the bar, the money is there's less silver content in there than what we advertise it as. So if we say there's a 5-gram coin, but it's actually only 4.5 grams, that again shatters trust in the actual money. And again, this is not something that we can tolerate. This is not something we can allow, because once you've lost that faith, it's very hard to get it back. And so those are the 2 primary, most important factors in play. At a close third is the premium, the actual cost of the production of the coin, because the premiums that we have, and I'll get onto this a little bit, on these particular stater coins that we are currently utilizing is, relatively speaking, extremely high because of various factors. We are not ordering them in the thousands, we're ordering them in the hundreds, so they're small orders, they're not massive bulk orders. They're very small coins, and you pay a premium when it gets to smaller coins, smaller bars, and smaller products in general. I think it's just a universal rule. The less you order, the smaller the order, the higher the premium. I think it's just a universal rule of life. And the fourth factor in play is the reliability of the source in which we are acquiring the coins, the bars, and the money. And we considered all of these different factors when deciding how to go about producing our money. And that's why we eventually decided to settle on having a professional mint do it. Because even though that the premiums were going to be significantly higher, that is something that we could tolerate, in the sense that at the time we had a closed trade network. So even if it cost us a large premium to initially mint the coins, once they entered circulation, broadly speaking, we expected them to stay in circulation. And it was only when we decided to open up the trade network and be a bit more hands-off when it came to people's interactions in terms of utilizing the stater coins that it really became a problem. because every time we had a silver Sumerian state coin taken out of circulation, if it just went into the pocket of someone that had no interest in investing it back into the community that we were establishing, then that was something that we have to replace at a significant loss. And so we took the decision, I believe it was in January, to reevaluate the purchasing power of the silver Sumerian state coin to reflect the actual production cost of the coin rather than the spot price of silver alone. And this is something that has weighed relatively heavy on not just myself, but other members of our community. Because fundamentally, we do want to advertise ourselves as being able to have a monetary system that is tied, if we can, as close to as possible, if not exclusively, to the spot price of the silver or gold that we are utilizing. And so I had a meeting with Lord Harvey, who has a little bit of experience when it comes to the utilization and the creation of silver products. And we did a little bit more research into it. And fortunately, we managed to find a mint in the United Kingdom that actually produced plain silver bars. And the premiums of these silver bars were significantly less than the coins that we were ordering from a mint that is from a company in the United Kingdom, but the mint is actually in Germany. And this has sort of spurred on a fresh wave of interest in how we go forward in terms of utilizing silver and gold within the Empire of Stomaria and indeed the wider world. And I just wanted to take a moment to go through this particular chart that I prepared. And this is the sort of mentality that I have while people are going out, partying or drinking or whatever else on the weekends. I'm creating these sorts of spreadsheets just to try and figure out the best way forward for Stomaria, for our community, and for our empire. And I want to take a moment to go through this particular chart, so I shouldn't be too long with it, just to better explain and to more easily emphasize the issue that we have and how we can potentially resolve it through the introduction of these new silver Stomarian stata bars. So without getting bogged down too much into this, if you look at the green row, it will say coins current 5 grams. And this is the current supply of silver Stomarian stata coins that we have today, as of this moment. We have 300 of these coins in circulation, and that makes up 1,500 grams of pure silver, with the total cost being around £4,500. Now that means that the price of each gram of silver that we are utilizing at the moment is £3. Now, when you consider this, and you consider the spot price of silver, which is 55p, that is a difference of £2.45, and that's a premium of 445%, give or take. So this is something that is that I need to highlight as much as possible, because the premium here is the big question. So with that piece of information in mind, I have prepared 4 potential options going forward, and these are the rows that are coloured in blue. So if we stay on this path, for instance, and we go for the first row, which is coins future 5 grams. So we don't change anything, we just keep going with the same mint. If we accumulate another 5,000 grams, another 5 kilograms of silver through this method, we will need to get another 1,000 of these coins. And that will equate to approximately £15,000. Again, it'll be the same kind of premium per gram, and that will be about 445%. So that is obviously quite astronomically high, considering that the production cost of these coins is something that we're going to have to constantly cover every time each of these coins come out of circulation. So we have looked at alternatives. Now, one of these alternatives, and the original alternative, was the self-minted coin. So this is where we would take a silver bar, we would melt it down, we'd get all the equipment in place to roll out sheets, punch them out, go get them tested and assayed by professionals, get them sent back, and then using hallmarking equipment, we would hammer in our own emblem and our own designs onto each of these coins. Now, the issue isn't so much the cost of this or the premium, because as you can see, To do this, if we were going to use 10-gram coins, we would need 500 coins. The total cost would be around £4,400, give or take. And per gram, that's only 88p versus £3. Now, this is only a premium, therefore, of about 60%, which is fantastic because it's brought the actual cost of all of this down, and it's going to be tested, so it'll be pure and all the rest of it. But the issue with this particular method is that there are a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of work and effort and time that has to go into actually producing these coins if we are going to go down that route. That is not something that anyone within the Empire of Stomaria at this time can commit fully to. And so that is the big issue there. And so then we go on to the next row, which is bars plain 50 grams. These are the 50-gram bars that I am talking about in this particular video. So in order to make up the 5,000 grams, we would need 100 bars, 150-gram bars. And this, again, would cost about £4,370, so not much different than the self-minted ones. And the premium, again, is about the same. It's about 58-59%. It's around the same as the self-minted coins. So the difference, obviously, between the coins and the bars in this particular example is that the bars can simply be accumulated the next day. They are already made, they're already ready. We just need to acquire them and then we can stamp them. And there's very little effort in that. So there's very few moving parts. And going on from that, just as a reference, the bars plain 1 kilogram. Now, these would not be usable as a medium of exchange for smaller transactions because each 1 kilogram bar would be about 550, £600, around that sort of figure, depending on the price of silver on any given day. But the premiums are obviously a lot lower, at 35%, and that becomes more and more reasonable as we go on. So this is something that we need to consider very carefully. And the ones I've highlighted in orange down below, the Britannia and the Metal Ore bar, is really just for reference. These are the sort of standard cheap coins and bars in the United Kingdom, and those are the premiums on those if you're buying in bulk. If you're trying to make up that 5,000 grams, that 5 kilograms of silver, and you're going to go through a more mainstream method, those are the sort of premiums you're looking at. So there's not a huge amount of difference between the plain bars and the standard coins and bars that are sold in the mainstream. But what they all have in common is that they are drastically lower than the coins that we are having minted for us at present. And just to highlight this point further, this is a 50-gram bar. This is what we will be using as the primary medium of exchange within the Empire. And we are going to be getting a hand stamp, and we're going to be stamping our name, our emblem, number of status, which would be 50 status, because each status is worth 1 gram of pure silver or pure gold. So these are silver status, and it's 50-gram bar, so it's 50 status. It's pretty straightforward, pretty easy stuff. Now, this is a silver Stomarian status coin, which is 5 grams. Now, obviously, we need 10 of these to equate to 1 of these. But the actual production cost of 10 of these is about £150, whereas the production cost of 1 of these is about 45. So you can see the problem there, you can see the difference there. It is far more beneficial to our community, to the people that want to invest in this, to accumulate the 50-gram bars. We will still be utilising these stater coins. I will still be utilising these stater coins. But going forward, it is going to be more than likely that these bars will become more prominent within the Empire of Stomaria because they're a more cost-effective means of accumulating silver. And ultimately, that's what we want for our community. We want our citizens, our supporters, to be accumulating gold and silver, not just to utilise, but to protect their own wealth, protect their own assets. And this is defeated somewhat if they're having to purchase or utilise Stomarian stater coins at enormous premiums. We do expect those premiums to be completely negated in the future as the price of gold and silver, along with other products, continues to climb as the limitless expansion of the currency supply around the world breeds inflation followed by hyperinflation. And to give a very obvious sample of this, in the last 20 years, silver has increased in value by about 650%, And I think even in the last 3 years or so, it's increased by, I believe, about 40 or 50%. Now, one of the problems that we have, and it was highlighted and discussed in an Imperial Court meeting very recently, is that the purchasing power of each of these bars is obviously significantly higher than the coins. In fact, it's 10 times higher. So with about £30 worth of silver content as of this moment in time, it does make smaller transactions quite difficult. And for smaller transactions to take place, it will largely have to rely on either a bartering system or the utilization of fiat currency. But the idea, I would think, is that once enough fiat currency has been accumulated, they will simply exchange it for the silver bars. Now, this is not the ideal way forward. Ideally, we would just want to use the bars as they are. And I'm hoping that they will be used to some degree or another, particularly for larger trade deals, larger trade agreements, particularly between the various leaders of each of the nations and the entities within the empire, and even our external trade partners once we begin to establish them again. But with that said, this is a more beneficial way forward for the community at large. Because, as I say, the premiums are so much smaller that they're getting more bang for their buck, if you like. They are being able to accumulate more silver at cheaper prices. And that's ultimately what we want to do. We want to be the nation that not only stands proudly as the only nation in the world that utilizes sound money, gold and silver, as a medium of exchange within our community, but we want to be able to say that you should be using the silver Stomarian stater bars and silver Stomarian stater coins, because they are likely, I can't prove this necessarily, but I'm very confident in saying that they are the cheapest silver that you will ever be able to accumulate, because we are basing it purely on spot price. We're not basing it on anything else beyond that. And so when you see some of the cheapest coins and bars being sold by bullion dealers or on online markets or in stalls or whatever else, there's always a large premium attached to those, not least because silver in the United Kingdom attracts a 20% VAT price tag right off the bat, much less any profits that the institution, the business, the company, the mint, the dealer, whatever else wants to make on top of that. So there's always quite a large premium with silver. But for us, for the Stomarian citizens, for the imperial citizens, if you like, or the citizens of the empire, they will be able to accumulate silver at very cheap prices. And we are quite happy to take the hit on that, because the hit is so much more insignificant compared to what we were forking out beforehand. I would much rather pay a 60% premium for our money than I would then, 440%. So that's a stark difference, and I can't reiterate just how stark that difference is and how excited we are about being able to develop this. Because, as I say, we are keen advocates for this, and given another year or two, it's perfectly possible that the production cost of the bars that we end up purchasing now is going to be a lot higher, but the price of silver is just going to gradually increase to the point where it will be £30 a bar today, and then it will be £60 a bar next year, and then after that it could be £100, £200. It depends what happens with the global monetary system that's collapsing all around us. So again, this is something I just want to reiterate a little bit further in this particular video, is that even if you aren't going for silver Stomarian stater bars or silver Stomarian stater coins, you're not interested in staters, I would still recommend, I'm not giving financial advice, but I would recommend you consider researching the benefits of deflationary assets like gold and silver, because as the world gradually wakes up to the fact that we are utilizing a fiat currency system that's just based on nothing, I think it's just going to cause more and more problems going forward. And I want people, as many people as possible, to be prepared and protected from that. So with all of that said, if you did want to become a part of the Stomarian community, then please feel free to do so through our Patreon campaign, the link of which you can find in the description below as always. But otherwise, if you did enjoy this video, then please feel free to give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we'll catch you in the next one.